What's up guys, this is Ollie and it's time for another adventure. This time it is Umanu's adventure, the fourth hero from the Cavern Realm. Depending on how you're counting, if you're saying that Nimrod was the first, she is the fourth, otherwise she would be the third. She was the third that you could unlock in a festival. I know this is getting confusing, so let's not talk about that. The last two adventures from heroes in the Cavern Realm faction, Queen Akeshru and Ranaklu, I was able to get a perfect score because I kind of have the core of this team, and for some of these quests you have to have these units. We will see if that's the same for this adventure. This is basically my beginning at this adventure. This is the very first common encounter, so let's see how this goes. You need a lightning victory, you need to not take any damage, our favorite bonus condition out of all of them, especially for the Voyasa fans out there. Where's the music? Here we go. Alright, and as is common in the common encounters, you can actually play whoever you want, more often than not. So this is one of those levels where I'm like, oh, I can finally play Nimrod. I got Nimrod. And that gives you a lot of options, opening a lot of doors that you didn't have before. Although here, there's also, this is kind of trying to tell you, hey, Umanu can do things too. Like, not just spread darkness, she can also do other things. So here I'm activating the danger zone to check that the opponents really cannot move in. That's the advantage of darkness, they can often not move any further. And now we can actually see what Umanu can do. She has the Night Ripple, and the Night Ripple is stunning all of these skeletons, all of the summons in fact. They don't have to be skeletons. And that means that they are not really doing anything anymore. And after that we have darkness on the board, we have stunned opponents, and courtesy of Ranaklu we have a million shades, and that means we win the game, even though it takes 400 attacks apparently. That's the first encounter. I can do some questing on the side, I always love that when that happens. On to the next one. For encounter number 2, we need to deploy only dark heroes. So now it's getting a little bit more restrictive. What I just said about the common encounters is apparently not true. This is an interesting encounter in terms of the positioning. You can really think about, okay, where do I want to move my units, or where do I have to move my units? And then it's also a lot dependent on what units you have. So I do believe that there is a way to perfect score this level with Katsume, because she can also help you hold the gunners at bay or take a shot, and that's what she does best apparently, against the oncoming gunners from the bottom. What you really need, in my personal opinion, is Queen Akeshru, because these guys on the left hand side, you can only really take them out efficiently, or at least create darkness and create a shade with Queen Akeshru. And the other unit that you really want to play, in my personal opinion, is Ranaklu. This is why it takes me forever to decide, because I'm thinking about, wait a second, if I'm going in with Nimrod here and I'm just killing everybody, what is going to happen with Ranaklu afterwards? And the conclusion is nothing. I don't get any shades, and no shades means no darkness, and no summons, and no summons means that I might be able to take some damage in the end. So this seemed to be the better choice, not going for like the max number of summons, but just enough summons so the opponents will focus on the summons. And now this is where Umanu can actually come in, spread darkness some more, which is not the most important thing here, but the most important thing is that she can now stun the opposition, and thanks to Ranaklu's passive, or trait in fact, that he can just walk from any spot on the map that is covered in darkness to another spot on the map, and the level design that allows us to get a lightning score. Even after so many turns, we can get a perfect score. Which takes us to common encounter number 3. This time it's a free for all again, we can play whoever we want, and truth be told, I forgot that. You can see that here my first squad was actually mostly dark units with a Naevis, because I wanted to connect with the back row on my first turn, and then I also brought geeks on my attempt, and then I need forever to select my units, because I'm going in my head, I'm going over, do I want to play Cerberus, do I want to play Silverroad, who do I want to play? I have, sometimes the problem is choice. In the end I'm going with a very weird squad, and the very weird squad is a mix of both the Reefkins with Dorga and Geeks on the one hand, and the core of the Darkness squad. This seems super confusing, but you will see in a second that this was actually working quite well for me. Because on my first turn I'm just creating enough tadpoles to flood the board. I mean, that's basically what they're there for. And then I can take out some position here, thanks to a timely shade with Queen Akeshru, and then the attack of Umanu. Umanu is actually more than just a darkness spreader. She can do some other stuff. She is great at killing Dorgas, in fact. I know this for a fact because I always level her against Trip. And she's taking out Tripstalker every once in a while. So now we do still have some frogs on the board, but they are not crucial. Now this is basically where the second team needs to tag in, and they need to do some work. So that means we are going with Queen Akeshru first. Now Umanu needs to spread the darkness. We've seen this before. So Umanu is spreading darkness and also affecting a couple of opposing units with the Night Ripple again. And now the only thing we need to do is connect somewhere with Ranaklu, because that means that we can suddenly create shades all across the board. And then the only danger that kind of remains is the two skeletons on the right hand side, because the guys on the left, they're going to be either dealing with shades in front of them, or they're just going to focus on shades, even though there are other options on the board. So now this seems pretty straightforward, I would wager. And the question is, do we just retreat with Dorga and with Gix or not? And I just like to attack. Yeah, that's one of my biggest problems in this game. Sometimes that's not to your benefit. Sometimes you do not want to attack. And now we can see we have 2 more turns, in fact, for the Lightning Victory. So this is, again, some very nice level design. We do have enough time to get the perfect score here. It's just a question of who do I want the XP to get. In the end, Ranaklu and Umanu. I mean, it's her festival after all. We already made it to the uncommon encounters. In uncommon encounter number 1, we only have to deploy rogues, which is one of my favorite conditions to fulfill, because there's so many options in terms of rogues. There's one rogue that everybody has access to this unit if you just played a little bit of Treasure Beach, and it's one of the best units in the game. It also has a side effect that not everybody knows about, and that is that this unit can turn off Katsume's passive. Because as soon as there's a unit next to Katsume, Katsume can no longer shoot anybody. Because after all, she's still a ranged attacker. She needs to have like some freedom. Nobody should stand next to her for her passive to trigger. So that means that if you attack Katsume with Gix and you get at least 1 frog, which is kind of happening most of the time when there's 6 fields and Gix has a 50% chance of spawning a frog, you're kind of guaranteed to end up with a frog. You should be fine here. Then the only question becomes, how do I take out the other guys on the map so my frogs can then handle business? So this is why it took me forever to search over my units, but in the end I felt like this seems like the best squad for this team, for this map. So we're going in with Gix, we're going to the right hand side with Nimrul, a unit that is really crucial in some of these levels, but not 100% crucial here. I do not believe you need to have Nimrul here. I think you can also go with Umanu on the right side, go for the Night Triple, and then on the left side you use your own Katsume to take out those 2 ninjas in the back. So why did I go for the Night Triple here? Well, the main reason is I want Katsume to go down, and that's kinda important, because if Katsume survives and she uses her active, which she really likes to do, the AI loves to use the active of Katsume, that means that the arrow is gonna traverse among my units and I'm gonna take some damage. We want to avoid this so we can get the perfect score. Uncommon encounter number 2 was one of the harder ones because I had to play it twice. I'm gonna show you guys what the problem was. The only problem was that I was mixing up the order of Nimrul and Ranaklu, and that's the only thing I had to change. My game plan was quite on point. So you want to go with Queen Akeshru, go for the long line, then you want to spread darkness. You do not want to go for the Night Ripple just yet. You first want to go for Ranaklu, create a couple of shades, and then you can go for Umanu. Now the only question left here is whether Shun is going to use his active in a way that he damages one of our main units. He does not, and that means we have infinite shades on the board. We have seen this before, right? Yeah, I think we have seen this before. So now the only question is, how do we take everybody out without taking any damage? So now a tactical retreat is in order, because we are spreading so much darkness that these ninjas can no longer connect to us. We can even see that when we activate the danger zone here. They can not move all the way in. They can move down the side, but not connect with one of our units. So this was a safe choice, and then we're basically bringing it home, and we get the Lightning Victory with a perfect score this time around. The hardest out of all the common and uncommon encounters is Uncommon Encounter 3. It takes place on my favorite map for leveling, so you might be wondering, why is this such a hard level? Well, it's a showcase for why Taro can be an annoying unit. He's not a good unit, but he can be really annoying, because Taro has tons of health, and this time the level designer was challenging us. He said you only get 2 turns for lightning victory. So this is where you have to bring the big guns in. This time we have to play ranged units, which I love. Again, I love changing bonus conditions, and especially ones that are showcasing what the unit is all about. Umanu is a ranged unit, so this makes plenty of sense. I'm still waiting for the day when we just have to play units that are non-mounted, for example, because it happens with mounted units, but it doesn't happen with non-mounted units. But I'm sure in one of the upcoming adventures we'll also have that. So why am I playing the squad? Well, the main difference here is parry. I didn't play parry before because Taro is a beast. You need to get rid of Taro. I believe that this is a misplay, because with my legendary gigs I always have to first use gigs and then use my rare parry to do more damage. Lord Nako crunched the numbers for me. Thank you so much, my friend. I couldn't have done it without you. I think here you actually need to first go for parry and then go for gigs. I'm not 100% sure. In the end, this doesn't matter all that much. The important thing is we are placing a spider web under Taro because we need the extra damage. Like, we desperately need the extra damage to take him down in this turn. It looks really easy, but believe me, I had to try it twice before, and without parry I couldn't get the job done. So the web wins games. That's already it for the common and uncommon encounters so far. Perfect scores across the board. Not super surprising, that's mostly the case in the festival. Things start to get a little bit more challenging at rare, and of course then epic and beyond. This is where it gets really challenging, and sometimes it's just straight out impossible to get a perfect score, but at least we're hanging in there. I am going to run you through all of these encounters. I'm going to have more videos on this channel very soon. So if you haven't subscribed yet, what are you doing? I thought you want to get better at Riven Guard. Do so now, and then I'll see you very soon.